The movie Kiss the Ground is a film that educates its viewers about the importance of soil health and its benefits to our Earth systems. The movie mainly explores the different concepts of regenerative agriculture due to the widespread desertification to our planet. It is actually this concept of desertification that has grabbed my attention, as it shows to lead to multiple disasters not only to our ecosystem but also to the human life as well. Desertification is a phenomenon where land is deprived of its fertile soil and becomes a dry land, much like a desert. As explained in the movie and stated by Better Planet Education, desertification is resulted from human agriculture and farming practices. This is mainly done through tilling and practices like monoculture for feed for the mass-produced animals such as chickens, sheep, and cows. Now, this is a matter that I personally find very important because, as stated in the movie, 2/3 of our world has become desertified, as the movie was released in 2020. However, in a UN report based in 2024, it reported that three-fourths of our world has become more drier. Now, this is very significant, as these dry lands and desertification of fertile soil leads to natural disasters and also unhealthy lifestyles of human lives. When soil becomes dry, it increases the chances of evaporation and decreases transpiration. The increased evaporation leads to the frequent rainfall leading to runoff, while decreased transpiration prevents plants from getting the water and nutrients it needs from the ground and soil. This not only harms the life cycle of farming and plant growth, but it also ruins the lifestyles of humans as well. As the widespread growth of desertification, many people from around the world are displaced from their homes. This leads to frequent immigration and overcrowding of refugee camps. About 2 billion people depend on agriculture and farming, but with the rapid increase of desertification, due to the unhealthy and industrial farming practices, it leaves many lands dry, with 90% of the 2 billion being from developing countries. And this is very important because in developing countries where agriculture is mainly relied on for the economy and for people to get money for their families, with these lands becoming dry, they aren't allowed to really have this revenue or income, which leads to the widespread of immigration and displacement. Now, in the movie, they also introduce multiple solutions to these desertified areas, such as polyculture, no-till farming, cover crops, and graze rotations. Now, I find these solutions very realistic to these real-world problems because within the movie, they introduce many different farmers who have utilized these different strategies and practices, which helped them out of poverty and also allowed them to grow their farm more quickly and efficiently compared to other farmers who are still using the industrial practices of till farming and monoculture. Specifically with polyculture, I find it very realistic as a solution, as with monoculture, by repeating and replanting the same crop over and over again on a specific area of soil, it only deprives that soil of the same exact nutrients and minerals every single time, which eventually leads to the dry lands and dry area of that soil because it only takes away one nutrient and mineral every single time a plant is planted there. However, with polyculture, when planting different plants on the same soil, it allows different nutrients and minerals to rest at a time, which allows like an even balance of different minerals and nutrients being taken from the soil for the plants. And not only does it help the soil itself like rest and regenerates its different nutrients to keep it alive and healthy, it also does help farmers with their revenue. As shown in the movie, the farmer who started to plant different types of crops actually started having more income compared to their neighboring farmers who are using and practicing monoculture, not really having that much income because they're only selling one type of plant that is widely used and competed with compared to the farmer who started using polyculture as he began to get more revenue in because of the different plants that he was selling. And although it's not the highest demand on the market, because there are multiple plants that he is growing and nurturing, he's able to sell more because there are different varieties and different demands for depending on the plant. Although the solutions that the film introduced are very efficient in its practices and works, it does pose as an economic problem when it comes to agriculture in general, as the industrial version of agriculture is very normalized, as it is seen to bring in more money and income due to how big or how much control that large companies have over the industry. Because a lot of bigger companies and farmers prioritize the high yields and economic efficiency, they often neglect the importance of regenerative agriculture. A lot of companies and farmers like to utilize industrial agriculture over regenerative agriculture is mainly because of how more efficient it is at its job of growing crops. With the mechanics and like chemicals used, such as synthetic fertilizers, it makes the job a lot more easier and faster with less labor, which is why a lot of these bigger companies and corporations find it a lot more efficient, easier, and also cheaper to utilize the industrial version of agriculture instead of the regenerative agriculture. The film's overall visual storytelling is very efficient in its work and also very productive when trying to convey its purpose of how soil health is very important to recognize, as well as the importance of regenerative agriculture. The film brought in different farmers and showed how their practices of regenerative agriculture is very effective and efficient in their works and how they live their lives. However, I do think that the film is more biased towards regenerative agriculture, as it is its main purpose to convey to viewers in this movie. However, I do think visually it does tell a very good balance between why people would lean towards industrial agriculture and why others would lean towards regenerative. It goes into depths and details about how the industrial agriculture stemmed and where it came from World War II, with its synthetics and pesticides used originally from the Nazis, and how it translated into the industrial version of agriculture. I think it does do a great job in telling both sides of the stories on how it went from regenerative agriculture to industrial, and how people are slowly trying to incorporate regenerative agriculture again to save the soil's health of our earth. Now, when it comes to educating people outside of those who have watched the movie, there are many different ways to approach this. From a small stance, you can talk to other people one-on-one about the importance of regenerative agriculture and the importance of soil health to our planet. There are also ways where you can start campaigns and also spread awareness to communities through simple education or even flyers. On a local standpoint, people can make videos or directly educate people on the importance of soil health to our world. And people can either do this through mini videos on social media platforms like TikTok. TikTok is a place where a lot of people in our generation go to spend their time mindlessly scrolling. If one were to create a video about the importance of soil health, it could reach thousands of people to educate them on the importance of regenerative agriculture. In a sense, this film has me really open my eyes more to the idea of regenerative agriculture, as I have previously learned about the concept in my environmental class in high school. However, when watching this film, I have gained a lot more information about the roots of industrial agriculture, as well as the unsustainability of it and how sustainable regenerative agriculture is more compared to the industrial version. Seeing farmers and how they have flourished their farms and business because they started practicing regenerative agriculture was very eye-opening in a sense where it gave a lot of credibility to the effectiveness of these practices. There was also a lot more information that I have learned through this film, such as learning that 3/4 of the world has already been desertified, which is very frightening when hearing about it, and it does make me reflect back on my own actions. What have I done to contribute to these problems, being a consumer of these mass-produced products of plants and animals, as sometimes with the monoculture, it does crave into the usage of the mass production of animals for feed. It also definitely opens my eyes to the possibility of, or the reality that people have been displaced from their homes due to the desertification and the unhealthy practices of the industrial agriculture. Knowing that a lot of people have immigrated and lost their homes because of it is very devastating and made me realize how privileged that I personally am living in the United States, not in a developing country, in an already developed country, and how different it is to know how other people are experiencing the consequences of these practices that kills our world.